This is a discussion I had with author Douglas A. Burton right after season 2 of House of Dragon.
Hello, everybody.
What's happening, Retro?
Hi, Doug. How are you doing?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Can you just give me a few thoughts that you have about House of Dragons?
Yes. So when Retro asked me to have this discussion, I also wanted to have it too, because there's, I think we all went through a certain phase here, or couple stages. One was disappointment in the way season 2 ended. I was watching it. Now, I love House of the Dragon, so I'm into this show. And I was watching it. At some point, I held up my remote, and I was like, how much longer is left? So I moved it so I could see the bar at the bottom, and I was like, ooh, like 5 minutes. I was like, there's not going to be a major battle?
Yeah.
So I went through the grief stage of, oh, God, this wasn't. And then I went through but I'm not giving up on the show stage. And then I had a couple conversations with different people. And when Retro's like, I want to discuss why this show is still worth holding on, I was like, yes, let's have that discussion, because I'm not ready to throw it away. I'm not angry at it like I have been with other shows. So I think what we're going to do tonight is make our case for why you should not lose hope or faith in the show, and why you should really look forward to season 3.
Yeah, from my perspective, from somebody who is knowledgeable about what is going to happen in the story, according to the written material, this is actually moving along quite well. It's just the timing of it may be a little bit off. And we're also going to talk about maybe a little bit behind the scenes reasons why why I'm coming up with this. And I'm not the only one, because it seems appropriate based on some news that articles that have come out. So
right. I wanted to show everybody.
Ooh, thank you.
Number
Doug.
one
Yeah,
on Nielsen. Number one. This is overall. There are 4 categories, and you can see them up here. There's the overall, original programming, acquired programming, and then just straight movies. So the big chart is the overall. And sitting on the top of the mountain is House of the Dragon. So
that's wonderful.
So a couple weeks ago, it was at like number 5 or 6, and it stayed there. And then last week, it jumped up to number 3, and then this week, it's up to number 1. So word is out. This is a good show. Word of mouth is going on. Everyone's tuning in. The other shows are not competing against it very well. It's got a pretty noticeable lead. Like, if you look down that chart and see how much the lead that number 2 has over 3 is like a hair's breadth. Same thing between 3 and 4. Like, they're very minimal leads. That's true all the way down the line, except for number 1 and number 2.
Wow.
So this movie is a cultural touchstone. People are watching, and people are into this. So this is a good show.
Yes.
So real quick, just to address people who might be frustrated with the way House of Dragon ended. One of the primary criticisms is that it was generally slower, and that the story seemed to go nowhere, and that the season ended essentially where it began, with war about to break out. So those are the primary criticisms, and I don't think myself or Retro are going to refute those criticisms. Because I think both of us agree. What Retro is going to do is show you why that happened, and I think what's coming next. So I think I just wanted to address the elephant in the room, which is there are some valid criticisms about it.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with anything that a lot of people are saying, actually. And again, most of the times when people are saying the things that they're saying, they're also saying, but the show was really good. So that's also part of it. When you look at the first season and you look at the second season, and you say, you'll probably say to yourself, it's very even keeled as far as, would you say this, Doug, as far as like the pacing of both of these seasons? They're relative. I would say they're not much, there wasn't like a heap of action and craziness that were happening in the first season. It was just setting up the characters, and you did get a few moments of, wow factors.
I would say that the pacing is similar. I think the main difference is it felt like this season less moves of consequence In some episodes where there wasn't much happening. I think that was the main difference. But in terms of moving pieces on the board, season 1 was like that. Season 2 was like that. And I would even argue that episode 4 of season 2 was one of the best episodes we've ever gotten, with the dragon warfare and the death of Prince Rhaenyra. So, I mean, that episode blew my hair back.
Yeah, that was great.
I loved it. Yes. We didn't just see dragons shooting fire at each other.
Oh, no.
I mean, they were up in the sky. There were multiple opponents facing each other. There were surprise opponents. There was dragons biting other dragons in the neck. There was I even felt emotion when the one dragon looks back at Princess Rhaenyra, kind of like, we've had a long road. Looks like this is the end, ain't it? And then they go,
I know.
I was actually sad. So I was like, so the high that episode 4 hit, I thought was extremely high, and that was in season 2. Yeah. I think most of us, and I don't know if I'm speaking for everyone here or not, but I was very patient with the slow pacing of episodes 5, 6, 7, because I expected a big finale, and I didn't get it. So that's where I feel there was a huge letdown that most of you in the chat probably feel. Most of you watching, if you're watching later, will probably feel the same way. There is that sense of letdown, but
yes, there is.
Again, retro will show hope is not to be lost.
Yeah, definitely. And just to get some comments from some ideas of what people are saying, Kimberly says, can't wait for season 3. Awesome. Black Panther is also here. It says, boring. David was sidelined to me for some reason. And
he was misused.
I will say this, the books did less with him.
Wow.
So they actually pumped him up a little bit.
Interesting.
Tara says yes. Still tuning in for season 3, of course. Yes, and it has a smiley face.
So, this day and age, there's rage in a lot of shows. If shows don't deliver, people can get really angry. Fandoms can really turn against a show. This isn't that kind of show that deserves rage. It doesn't deserve it. It's not incompetent. It's not off-brand. It's not betraying the spirit of the subject matter. It was just slower, and it didn't have the big bang at the end. So I told myself, I'm not going to turn on the show.
Darth Plato is here. Hello, Darth Plato. Says, can't have this cover without me in the chat. Yes, we can't. We can. So
Darth Plato's awesome. He had such great knowledge, both inside the subject matter of the story and then outside context coming in. So
I saw that video. I saw the on Outcast Creative, my friend Lance's channel, that you guys were there, and he had a great knowledge of medieval processes.
Yeah, that's true.
I was like, wow, I did not know. I need to call him up for information about. Okay, now I'm writing a character that's in the medieval times. Then they're doing some negotiation. What should they be doing?
Yes.
So he knew all about that. That's really so awesome. Maria says, looking forward to season 3. Season 2 was slower than season 1, but they did have some shocking moments. Yeah, they did. I mean, really, really incredible moments. So I wanted to just refresh us a little bit on season 1 really quickly. Not too deep. Everybody knows that this is part of the book Fire and Blood. And there are lots of different stories in there, but this is documenting the stories. This is all starting from way back when the first series decided no women were going to be the rulers of the throne. As you can see here, this is sort of the family picture of the former king. You can see that Viserys is with his wife there, and she's pregnant with Rhaenyra. On the other side, you can see that Rhaenyra is there, and she's alongside the Corleone. She was supposed to have the throne technically.
Right.
She was up for the throne, but she could not have it. So her brother instead took the throne. I don't think, no, it wasn't even her brother. It was her nephew took the throne, which was sort of a big smack in the face. So she's she has to sit back for generations and generations to be looked over for the throne. But finally we get to the, Daemon is the brother of Viserys, and Daemon is the younger brother. He's second in line, but he has never been, he's not first. So it's always second place, never first for him.
Right.
And he has always wanted the throne so much. He wants it so bad.
Yes, he does.
all that.
He's chomping at the bit.
But realizing that his brother is not worthy of the throne, who he would have given it to him if he was worthy. If he felt his brother was worthy, he would have given his brother the throne, Viserys, that is. But instead, he gave it to his daughter, Rhaenyra, and
Right.
who was not supposed to actually have the throne because she is a woman. And so there are certain people who are like, oh, we will. They pledge themselves to accept her as their queen if something were to happen to him. A lot of those people are keeping those pledges, and some of them are not. They are willing to forego that in order to maintain the status quo. Alongside all of this, we have a young girl who she herself, I'm not sure if she is actually ambitious, but her father is. And he puts her in place to take care of all of these kings when they get sick. So she should take care of the previous king, and he died. Rhaenyra's mother dies in childbirth, trying to give birth to another child. He is mourning her loss, and also his health is failing. So here comes this wonderful girl who's 15, and she becomes his new bride. She's also the best friend of Rhaenyra. So this is a very, very entwined story. And
Yes.
I love the fact that they went for all of these complexities about these characters, and that makes it really hard for us to see them today. Maria says, I think that the show did a great job of matching each actress who played Alicent and Rhaenyra as they age. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Oh, that's so sweet. And Darth Vader says, the reason why women were not preferred to the throne, whether in history or Westeros, is because power was seen as residing foremost in armies, and war was the domain of men. That makes sense.
So Darth Plato is correct. I'm writing a story about a Byzantine empress right now, book 2 actually, and one of her observations, and it's kind of a theme that she put, is the awareness of the kind of intermingling of the military order, which keeps the society alive, and the government. And so women were largely outside of that. And so that there were some practical reasons. It wasn't an evil conspiracy in each case. There were practical reasons. You had to have someone who the army would follow and listen to and bend a knee to. And if you had to go to war, defend your throne, you wanted someone who could command the respect and admiration of the men who fought in the armies.
Yeah. It's so true, and that makes sense to me. Bonzo Kilborn's here. Hello, Bonzo, how are you? Says, I'm giving the season 2 a very angry thumbs down. Oh no, this count is under protest because I don't even want to talk about it. But
Bonzo is ticked.
Yes, for Retro Nerd Girl, I'll soldier on. Thank you so much, Bonzo. I appreciate it so much. I think a lot of people were invested, and so by the end, if you felt a little bit down on it, it can just take away from all the excitement and the hype that you were feeling. You were like, yeah, oh, man,
Totally.
So, and I was there too with you guys watching the show, and I was like, oh, the battle, where's it? Where's my battle? And there's a couple of things that they could have done, and I feel we're going to talk about that. A couple of things they could have done to pump up the story just a little, to give us a little bit more, so that we wouldn't be so forlong for a more exciting ending.
I want to hear your theory. I have my own. Maybe it's even the same, but I have my own
awesome
wish on what they could have done to end it, to give us something instead of nothing.
And Pandora says they could have at least shown 2 battles, and the Blackens and the Blackwoods, and they actually technically they only needed to show 1 battle, and that was the Battle of the Gullet, and that would have been enough to curl your toes, and it would be on equal par as to their last season's ending. Actually, Chef Nation says season 1 banger. They kept it close to the book and a few Hollywood parts in season 2 fell flat when they went off the book many times. As a person who read the book, I'm not happy. I understand, yes. And
I
I
agree.
think with Blood and Cheese, there was a loss there because I don't know why they didn't go full book on that. Like,
Well, you know what, Retro, is I actually liked the Blood and Cheese episode
I
until
like it
you
too.
told me what the book had. And I
Yeah,
was like,
sorry.
oh
sorry.
my God, that would have been so much better.
Yeah. There's so much more detail in the book that you can't. I'm like, you've gotta keep the details that are really cool from the book,
Yes.
and then add your extra flavor into it. But I digress, and Darth Vader says, in the event when women in power were visible in war, like Elizabeth Tilbury's speech in the Spanish Armada War, or Mary of Austria as regent of Burgundy, both wore armor of sorts. I suppose that even the men, when they were
Yes.
out, they had to wear armor too, just to look the part.
Well, and if you were a man back then who didn't have command of the army, you ain't going anywhere. You're not going to the throne either. So it wasn't just women that the army was a problem for. A losing commander would lose his chance at becoming emperor in some cases. And that's why almost every ruler in every culture, especially the further back you go, has a military version of their uniform.
And Darth Vader says betrothals in medieval Europe were known to happen before some children were even born. Oh wow! And I was looking forward to something like that happening in the story, but they only suggested something to that effect. So these girls became friends, but it was really kind of a friendship of also like they were kind of smushed together. But all the while, Daemon is working his magic on his niece. Okay, he is. There's an event in which he takes his niece out into the area with the small folk, and there's almost something that seems to be like it almost looks like they're about to like that they
cross the line.
yes cross the line, and well, that did not happen, but the young Rhaenyra, she just does her own thing. She seduces very aggressively, though, to the point of uncomfortable, like it being uncomfortable. Her guard, Criston, yeah, and Criston, I'll say, was upstanding at this point. He's an upstanding citizen or guard, and he really takes his job very seriously. This meant something more to him than it meant to Rhaenyra. She just thinks it's just physical stuff for her. He's thinking a little bit more that, hey, we could just run away together and be together and let's just elope. And she's like, no, I'm a princess.
Yeah, she's like, what are you, nuts?
What are you,
run
crazy?
Away with you? Well, and he was treated very heartthrobby, I would say, in season 1 as like this handsome knight who both, everyone wanted him, and his character changed quite a bit, I would say, by the end of season.
And I love this, what Maria says, the two girls' relationship was kind of like mistress and beloved servant. Yes, she was sort of like the servant of the realm, but on a higher basis. At this point, Rhaenyra is speaking of the realm. She was the realm's delight at this point.
Oh yeah, Aegon of the Realm's Delight.
Yes, we hear that reuse. It's really great. Criston is really distraught about this and is on the verge of end things. Alicent actually, and he mentions this the last episode. She actually stops him from doing that and says, "Work for me, and I'll take care of Don't worry about it." And that gives him hope again. And so that begins their relationship. They create this alliance now. He has sort of pledged himself to her now. Rhaenyra becomes the enemy. Rhaenyra goes off and marries one of the sons of Corlys and Rhaenyra. He happens to not be interested in her, but she gets a lover. All of the children that she has by him, I believe she has 3, have dark hair and have his
Yeah.
facial features, so people know that she's not, doing things according to what the rules. She's cheating on her husband, which, I mean, it's not really cheating because they've agreed to see other people, but those children are not his.
It's a problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem. They're illegitimate children, and
Right.
so as you see, the father is like interacting with these kids. Well, of course that can be had, so he's deleted from the story
Yep.
by his own
See you, buddy.
brother. But there's also this rivalry between the boys, between Alicent's boys and Rhaenyra's boys.
Well, and what I think is a fascinating dynamic here, and I love this, and it's a very unique and compelling conflict. You have the legitimate queen,
Yes,
with illegitimate kids,
yes,
obviously illegitimate kids. And then you have an illegitimate queen,
yeah,
with legitimate kids.
Yeah.
So that is a very unique circumstance in storytelling, and this does a great job.
Isn't it interesting? It's fascinating.
Yes.
And the way you can tell basically is the hair color. If that
Yes.
hair color comes out dark, you're not quite, you may have the gene, but you're not quite the thing. So this is Rhaenyra's family. Her husband goes off somewhere. They stage a fake death. He's out of the picture, but then Daemon is free to marry her, and she marries him, and they begin to have children together. As you can see, she has 3 boys by the strong fella, and so
As you can
that
see.
is, as you can clearly see, and then Daemon's 2 daughters as well. So that's a cool little dynamic there. The series is when he dies, this is the new dynamic in the kingdom, is Alicent sitting at the head, kind of, and with her father on one side and Cole on the other side, and they get to decide who the next who's next in line. They make sure to place Aegon on the throne, which is really interesting because they, through their manipulation, all of them are kind of wiped off the table later on. It's just
that's right,
incredible.
and these are tense moments because they're staking out a very serious path to the throne, and those are like what's the word? Like a soft transition of power, which are contestable and can get real hot real quick. We saw that in Game of Thrones too.
Yeah, and here we see for sure Alicent right at the head of the table. She's the one making these decisions. That is something to think about when you look at season 2, where she was to where she is now in the story. This is Alicent's family. Her 2 sons, Aegon, the eldest of them, and who is going to be king, or who is crowned king. And then you have Aemond, who lost his eye. I believe it was Lucerys who did it, protecting one of the girls, one of their, I guess, sisters. They're not really sisters, but they're sisters in marriage, and one of Daemon's young girls. And they were supposed to get Vhagar. I believe Rhaena was the one who was supposed to get Vhagar, the big giant, but somehow Aemond snuck out there, and he made contact with that dragon, and now it's his. And so with that big huge dragon, you've got a huge power shift going on in the family. But also that scene where he gets his eyes taken out was supposed to be a moment which his mother was supposed to console him, and she instead waged war against Rhaenyra and the entire family. I want your son. I want your son's eye for my son's eye. And
right. She made a condition that wasn't going to be met.
Yeah. And it was just one of those horrible moments. Instead of saying, you lost your eye, but you've gained a dragon, and apologize for being a jerk to them, and it was their dragon you basically took. There was none of that. It was more about the pride of it all. From those decisions, we've got more and more pain and suffering to do with the same kind of thing where we have a son for son later on. I love that. It is like a rhyme but it makes sense. It's like it's storytelling rhyming, and I love
Did you
that.
just pull a Lucas?
It's Lucas. It's George Lucas again.
Like poetry, it rhymes.
but I do love that because it makes a lot of sense. So we had the end of season 1 with the big dramatic thing where Lucerys, one of Rhaenyra's son, goes off to do some kind of negotiating, and it goes horribly wrong because Aemond is there with Vhagar and accidentally kills Lucerys in this incredible battle sequence that's just like it was supposed to be taunt. He was supposed to taunt him and scare him. He wasn't going to kill him, but he did. And I know that in the books it specifically was like he went out to kill that boy, but in the story, the way it's done with the complexity, I like that. It was like, oh snap, I don't have control over this situation. Gives Aemond a little bit more depth, gives the story a little bit more flavor, but also it's tragic at the same time. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, totally.
And you feel for Rhaenyra for having to lose her son. So we start out season 2 with this awful moment when which is so touching. I'm almost going to start tearing up. Where his brother Jace has to tell his mother, "Your son is dead," and it's just awful. It's awful, and it's heart wrenching, and absolutely loved that scene. It kind of broke my heart a little bit because nobody wants to have to see us or hear of a son dying or one of your children going like that.
As King Theoden said, no parent should ever have to bury their child.
Yes, and it's so true. It's just one of the the saddest moments in the story, and Darth Vader says the accident angle was silly. He didn't like it so much. He wants let Aemond be ambitious and angry. Well, yeah, I think he definitely achieved that.
Well, I think he was ambitious and angry. There was a book I read when I was a kid called A Separate Peace, and it was about there were two boys that climbed up a tree, and the one boy who was jealous of the other boy, like kind of kicked the branch that they were standing on, and the boy fell over and broke his back. And we discussed it, and what was interesting is that it wasn't like fully conscious what he had done, that he had kicked the branch like that, and yet he still did it. So there was a case made that this was subconsciously deliberate, even though it wasn't a fully realized action. And I feel like that's kind of what happened in that scene.
John Flair says too many accidents and misunderstandings, and I think that's why they're doing this angle, because they don't want you to think that the character just out for death. That it is kind of like, okay, well, maybe we want them to live, maybe we want them to die now. Like we for sure wanted to kill his brother later on, though, and he for sure killed Rhaenys on purpose. That's his great aunt he killed. And you know what I mean? You grew up your entire life seeing this lady in court, in your court, and all of a sudden you're killing her like that.
You have her in the crosshairs.
Yeah, he just smirked.
Once you accidentally kill one person who was a piece on the game board, you've crossed the line. Now you can do it again now,
Oh yeah. So I think he did go there. He's about to kill his brother right there. Okay, he's about to kill him. and Cole creeps up on him, and he knows he can't do it because there are certain rules in place about killing people in power. And we'll learn about that further along down the line. But you can't just go out and kill somebody who's a king without having to face the music, so to speak.
Well, there's an ancient line of thinking that says when you kill a king, you do it in front of the whole court where everyone can see you. So, so there is you don't do it in a backhanded, behind the door, secretive way. It's perceived as cowardly.
Yeah. And so like this is just a wonderful moment where we see Aemond is unhinged now. He's unhinged. But I will say this about his character in this particular season, and we can further go into it. I'm kind of off the linear track now. One thing I will say about him is that I would have loved to see even more unhinged behavior from him.
So that's what my season,
sociopathic moments with him.
which ties in. All I was going to say was that ties into my proposal for how season 2 could have ended.
Yeah.
I think, and I'll keep it brief, but I think they should have, instead of doing what they did. I know
where you're going with this. Yes.
You do? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have spent as much time with Tywin Lannister and that whole and introducing new characters and all that. And it wasn't that great of a scene. I thought he was a very bad diplomat. He looked visibly like, oh God, I got to do this negotiate, which is not diplomatic at all.
Yeah.
So I would have gotten rid of that and maybe saved that to help start season 3. I would have built up Aegon and shown him flying out to Sharp Point and torching that city and really made that the set piece moment.
I agree 100. Okay, listen to this. There's a wedding happening. Okay, lovely couple. They're so in love with each other. Okay, a lot of the townspeople are getting together. They're all like festive and happy. And then here comes the dragon and burns everybody to a crisp. I mean, he doesn't care who. That
was in the book.
No, I'm
that's your ad? You added that?
Yeah, I'm just adding. Like, let us feel something. Let us spend like 5 minutes with this town. Let us see them doing their thing. Let us see them just being normal.
Oh, man.
Happy. Let's
see why that would have worked?
Let's see some kids, like a mother, suckling her newborn. Let's see some characters and then kill them and burn them. Like, I want to see them like,
You want like a Raiders of the Lost ending.
Yes. And it's like, I want to see finally Aemond have this like beautifully bright smile, and I want the dragon to be like, like really give us the evil.
I think that's great because and it would have worked because I think episode 6 or something was called Small Folk. So this season has already taken time to kind of go into the lower class districts, I guess, whatever you want to call them, and show the small folk. I mean, you could have set it up where there's discussion of other bastards, right? That, have you heard they're gathering up bastards? There's a chance that you could get a dragon. You could easily go into that and have like the wedding sequence like you're talking about, and then cut back to the palace where someone's like, Sharp Point isn't even strategic, and have him be like, I don't care if it's strategic. They're raising their banners to they need to learn a lesson. And trust me, if I do this, if we hit hard, the next town will think twice before they raise their banners to the other queen. So, and then show smart people being like, if you do this, they will hate you. And then have them go do it. And like you said, show the horror of this. And guess what? And guess what, Retro? If they did, we would have something to talk about. For
like, oh my God, Aemond is out of his mind. He's sick. I wanted him to do something terrible to his sister. I'm sorry. I mean, that whole conversation, he's like, I could have you killed. And she's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's like, great. Then do something. Like, push her or something. Like, I wanted him to show me true. Like he was really, really out there because he's the only character right now who can. Everybody else has been neutralized, or there've been, he's the one that's unpredictable, and we should see more. We should have seen more cruelty from him.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. All I was saying, I did not care for his character too much in season 1, and his character is the one that's grown on me the most.
Yeah.
And it's because he's one of the most decisive characters. He does things, whether we like him or not, he's decisive. So that would have been cool. And Retro, I just submitted your name as a storyboarder for the next season. So HBO should get my message soon. I'm like, hey, you want to really wow the crowd?
Yes.
It's horrible, but meet my friend Retro.
Oh gosh. Well, that's what I wanted from him. I wanted him to get really insano. There were so many moments I felt like with him in particular. They built it up beautifully with him being mocked by his brother. He almost kills his brother. You're like, oh, Aemond's crazy. He's about to kill his brother. And then, the scene with his mom. Okay, so now we can go. He is past the moment of saving. The moment when his mom is touching his face.
Oh, yeah.
That's the end. You've dismantled your mother's place at her at your table. You've gone to the furthest end that you can possibly go. So I wanted them to take it a little bit further, and so maybe they might. I don't know. There's still a lot of room to play.
Well, and to make matters worse, by contrast, now imagine Retro's nightmarish red wedding destruction, total carnage scene.
Yes.
Now imagine that, right? Which would have been great. When I was originally taking notes, I wrote Aemond, Burning City, ? I didn't even know what the hell I was watching. It was a 6-second scene.
It was, oh my God, you're so right. And I agree. And this is like, again, for all the things that we said that we loved about the show,
right?
This was the shortest moment. It's just a moment of seeing a burning place and then him looking at it from afar. And that was it.
Yeah, it totally... and it didn't even have context, so I didn't even know what I was looking at. I had to go back in my notes to fill that in. Oh, it's called Sharp Point. Aeon burned it for some reason. Like, I had to go back, but it was not obvious for the 6 seconds they showed it. Yeah. And it had no context or meaning to me as a viewer. I will share, Lance from Outcast Creative said that they ran out of their budget. And so the final, and apparently he knows people who worked on the show and has some real information. He's not just speculating. He has it on good authority that it was budgetary. So they didn't have the money to make any more than that quick shot. But it still counts. We're watching your show. You have to deliver. So I felt that was one area they did not deliver.
Yes, and we're going to talk more about that because some more news have been revealed about that. But for sure, that is where I think this season is one of the biggest blows, is the missed opportunity there to really wow us. And it could have been like, okay, well, we're gearing up for the battle, but did you see what happened to what Aemond did? He's crazy. This is going to be sick. We needed one more display of dragon insanity, or somebody riding a dragon doing something. Like, we needed a big moment with
anything.
Or a battle sequence, one at least part of or somebody fighting or something. We didn't get any of that, and so that was kind of didn't satisfy the palate, if you will.
I don't like one character. Much.
Yeah, this is really kind of a sad thing here because she's at this point, if she vanished from the story, I think it'd be fine. And in the books, I don't remember her much past this point. To be very honest with you, and I don't really think she kind of fades away from the story. But at this point, all that she's doing is just saying, "Oh, you're so wonderful, Rhaenyra. You're just wonderful. You're the most powerful woman ever. You're amazing."
Well, and there was no. So they had that big makeout kiss a couple episodes ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's no. When two people cross that line, there's some chemistry. The relationship changes. None of that in the season finale. There was no sense that these two had any romantic interest at all. It was, it was almost like they just did it for that one scene. I didn't get a sense that they actually were into each other in the finale, and
Yeah.
so I was like, I don't know what's going on with these two. This makes the least sense.
Yeah, it didn't need to be there, but I would say this: I'm glad they didn't go further with it too, because if you notice that the scene after that where Rhaenyra is in her bed, she's alone. Okay, not unlike Alicent, where she was like,
Alicent is not alone. She's very busy.
Like she was alone in that bed, and I was like, okay, so they didn't continue with this thing. Somebody was saying that maybe it could have been sort of like, and I know that the actresses has kind of came up with that on their own, feeling like that worked for the moment, and that could kind of do its thing. I'm just glad it was just there, because sometimes you could get in the passion of something, but hey, we're at war right now. People are dying. I lost my child. My other kid over here, he's very vulnerable. He's illegitimate, and people can see it.
She's like, hey, how about we make out?
You don't have time for this. So I'm glad they didn't go any further with it. Rhaenyra,
well, and you know what else is, when you're in a position of power like that, it came across as seductive to me. And it's like, you should be guarded against this person. If they're trying to seduce you, that could be a bad, especially if they're advising you and they're an informal advisor that came in from the outside. I mean, you got to be on guard from this person.
Well, did you see the look that the guard gave her when when they left? He gave her that, like, what are you doing here? What is going on here? Look. And I was like, keep your eye on her.
I don't trust this one.
So I honestly hope that they nicely excuse her from the story and put her, somewhere else, because from what my memory, I don't see her much further. I know that she did advise Rhaenyra, but I think that was their relationship parts. I think she leaves the story. So I hope that they do that with her. It's like, excuse me, let the real story go on. But I was for a while there, I was enjoying her play. Like, hey, we end this, we do this, those little tactical things that she kept on coming up. I love that. I was like, okay, cool. She's got like an inside deal. She's got people on the inside. She knows she's helping. But when that was no longer the case, it was very like, okay, what are you here for? What, and it again, oh, you're so fantastic. It was like, okay, calm down.
Well, and that's why you don't just ad hoc everything. Like, it's a modern thing to do, to just keep changing, intellectual property.
Yeah.
As a writer, if you're tapped in, you've thought this through, and that's why you don't do it, because it fits. The second you change something, it may not fit. So, and suddenly they kissed, and now she's like shuffled into this weird zone. So, pay attention as writers, what you're doing.
Oh, I love this. Thank you, Doug Plato. Women advisors were quite common in the past, though they tended to be relatives. I love that. Thank you. That's great.
Women are natural strategists. They pay attention to things and they point things out all the time. Did you see this thing over? I was like, no, I didn't notice anything. Women are they have their fingers on the pulse. So
yeah, we love details, and and when I think that's when her character really thrived and really made sense, was when she was doing her little sneaky white snaky stuff, and but when she stopped doing that, it was like, okay, we need you to get out of here. And I did love the little story background about her family. And I think what they should have done in that moment was reaffirm their friendship, and that's it.
They didn't have to go.
Yeah, they didn't have to go down the passionate route. But if they felt like they needed to do that, fine. As I'm glad that they didn't continue.
Right.
And also, it gets complicated when you have her like cheating on her husband with this lady. Damon.
I'm saying, you change too much.
Yeah, Daemon, technically Daemon didn't cheat on her, except for if you want to consider the dream that he had. That was really weird.
Dreams don't count.
Dreams don't count. Okay. And I thought he was going to form a physical relationship with Alys. I keep forgetting her name.
The barn owl.
Yes, Alys. And so I thought for sure that that's like, oh, they're gonna have her be sort of the part of Nettles, one piece of Nettles, because I think they were. My thought pattern was that they were splitting Nettles into two people, and one being his actual daughter, Rhaena, and that they were going to use Alys as sort of the romantic end of it. It looks like they're not doing that at all. That Alys is actually just a guide, just a spiritual guide during this
manifestation
this
of some kind.
Yeah, and so
I wasn't big on her character when they first introduced her. I was like, oh, great, another witch. I think the strength of her acting and a decent script, I think she's a very interesting character now. So she really grew on me.
Yeah. she was fantastic. Like you said, grew on me as well.
Yes.
Not someone that initially I didn't understand what was going on. What was she there for? What's happening here? Will somebody please tell me what the heck's happening?
She doesn't seem to be playing any special angle.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't seem to be like vested in the conflict, and yet she's very confrontational, and she's confrontational to Daemon. She stands up to Daemon, and she challenges Daemon, and he's aware of it. And he doesn't overreact to her. He really accepts her challenge and treats her as though she's challenging him effectively. He treats her legitimately, and I loved her dialogue when she goes, "I'm a barn owl, cursed to be a human." I was like,
yes,
that is freaky weird and cool.
Yeah. I love it. Darth Vader says that Daemon and Mysaria were a thing in season 1. Yes, they were together for a while there. Yeah. And so it's kind of complicated with all of these relationships going around. I kind of like that. It feels very soap opera-ish. And that's Joshua Scars here says, what's your interpretation of who Alys is? Is she a conduit, a three-eyed raven? The tease of Helaena communicating through her is intriguing.
Yes, I've heard this theory.
Yes, I like all those theories. We haven't gotten that kind of confirmation yet. In the book, it's much less interesting. They don't really explain who she is. They just said that she's a wood witch, and have there been tales of the reasons why she is able to look as the age that she is, because she is a lot older than that. She was the nursemaid to the Strongs, all the strong boys, not the strong boys from Rhaenyra, but the strong their fathers. And so that's kind of interesting.
Well, and I got to say, so there was the vision sequence, and it showed the three-eyed raven. It showed events from Game of Thrones. I actually didn't like that because one thing that I really appreciated about House of the Dragon when it first came out was that they were not resting on any laurels. They were not trying to say, "Hey, remember Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
How about this?" They were basically like, "Forget Game of Thrones. We're starting new with whole new deck, whole new characters."
We love that.
And they stood on their own, which nobody tries to do this anymore. And they did, and they pulled it off. They pulled it off like that. And so now that they're trying any tie-in, I didn't mind like one mention, like, hey, there's future events. I didn't mind like a mention, but I don't want to feel like they're trying to tie Game of Thrones into this.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the power of the show is that it is standalone. Yeah. We get that it's in the past. We get that it'll eventually lead to other, Targaryens and Baratheons and Lannisters. We get all that. Yeah. But I don't want to see the White Walkers. I don't, when you say winter is coming, I'm like, for one episode in season 8, and it was and it sucked. So, like, don't remind me.
Yeah. And I think that this wasn't exactly something I was excited about seeing. And I was like, why are we getting this? And I think this has to do with HBO and or not HBO, but Max in general, like what they're planning for the future, because there's supposed to be 7 other runoffs shows. Game of Thrones,
7?
like other.
Ugh. I got Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, just
Vibe.
concentrate on one thing at a time, guys. Like this
Totally.
this is the one to concentrate on. That's why you don't have a whole bunch of money, because you're so busy doing all of these shows nobody asked for.
Nobody.
This is the show that people are asking for and like and love. Put all of the money into this, please.
Yeah, go for it. Exactly.
Give us some dragons or like do something. Like stop playing with us, you know?
Yes.
I don't want to see like Game of Thrones. I know a lot about Game of Thrones from just research and stuff, and I know the storylines. I know about the White Walkers. I know about all that stuff. I know about Daenerys. It was, everyone has said this. This is definitely the vision was definitely a commercial, soft commercial for Game of Thrones. Great, but also, how does it affect the story? Now, all I wanted was a line or two that said, what I think what they're trying to say is now Daemon knows who he is in the whole like situation, like that he has to be with Rhaenyra as the by her side in order to get her on the throne, and that is where the audience loses the connection to what's happening. Is when you're like flashing all of these images and so I know that Screen Rant and heavy spoilers are going to go into detail and take it apart for us and explain how all of this what all of this means, but I wanted the show to actually tell me what it meant. I wanted the show to actually say, I was shown this vision because X, Y, and Z. I wanted him to say something in particular. And he does kind of say, like, the winter is coming. But what does that mean to him? What does that mean to him? What does winter coming mean to him?
I thought, that felt like more of a stark saying. I know that it spread and became kind of there's kind of a universal nature to it. But that only really happened in Game of Thrones as the White Walkers became real to other cultures. Yeah. But it was always a Stark saying, and I forgot who says it in this episode, but they weren't a Stark, or Daemon says it, right? Winter
Daemon
is coming.
Says it in Valyrian, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, why would he say winter is coming? And dude, it ain't coming for like 100 years. Out, dude.
Like, what does that mean to him?
Totally.
It didn't work. It was sort of like a wink, like, hey, I know you watched Game of Thrones, wink wink.
We don't need it.
Like,
we don't need it.
And Joshua, thank you for this information. So spin-offs will be Death of Prestige TV. The Voice has 2 more planned spin-offs. Game of Thrones, Hati has 3 spin-offs in development, which is like, forget about the development. Like, get that money and put it towards this show. And says one coming next year, and too many shows set in one universe. Yeah.
Didn't they see what happened to Marvel and Star Wars when everything became a spinoff? It killed it.
This is desperation, though. This season was supposed to have 10 episodes, not 8. Okay.
Right.
So in March of 2023, that was a long time ago, a year and a half ago, Deadline reported that season 2 would consist of 8 episodes, and that the belief is that the original plan had been for 10 itself came just to 2 months after the scripts for season 2 were finished. So it wasn't about the scripts that had been written for season 2 to have 10 episodes. According to writer and executive producer Sarah Haas, as Deadline's report noted, it came amid other cost-cutting measures at Warner Brothers Discovery, which has continued into 2024. So they're in financial problems, and they're in over $30 billion in debt. And Darth Plato says, I hear season 3 will also be 8 episodes. And I think when you're planning out, and I think this is the problem. See, they planned for 10 episodes. then something's got to give, right? Whereas if you plan for 8 episodes, you know what's going to be in those 8 episodes.
Right. So give us 8, make them count, and deliver that season 3.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And Darth Plato's episode 9 was supposed to be the naval battle and the death of the main character, and episode 10 was Rhaenyra's main war effort. Yes, I can totally see that as I look at the story. I have, where's my notes at? I have this cheat sheet for myself I made of sort of like notes, and this entire season was just this amount, and there's still like several pages. So
Oh, wow.
I was like, okay, we're taking our time with this, aren't we? So
Yeah, exactly. The show still has some of the best dialogue out there. The costume design, the set design, the animation, the dragons, it's all level 10. So here's what Lance said. And I don't know, you may have covered some of this, but Lance from Outcast Creative said that when they did season 1, they weren't exactly positive how many seasons it would go. Mm-hmm. So then they had planned for season 2 to end it. And then as that situation changed and season 3 became possible, suddenly season 2 kind of got small as they punted the big stuff to the next season.
Yeah.
So it was really, it sounds like season 2 is really a victim of the show's success.
Yeah.
More so than anything.
I wanted to touch on the story of Nettles now becoming a different type of story with Rhaena. Just in general, what are your thoughts on the character of Rhaena?
She's not really given a lot of airtime, especially in this last episode. She seems like she could be an interesting character, but without developing her much, I don't have much to say about her. I know that for the finale, they showed her like running through the wilderness in like nice clothes for it, like, and then at length, like she's just still running, and then she comes up over this horizon, looks, and then she comes upon this dragon, and obviously, I think they're setting us up that she has this dragon, which is in the wild. Is going to choose her, and she is going to enter the fray as a dragon rider.
Yeah.
Great. Is this the way to set her up and do this? Probably not. I think this could have been done a lot better. I mean, a dragon choosing someone in this world is a pretty big moment, and there's no way to portray it without it being ultra dramatic. Remember, like in that movie Aliens 3, when that came right up to her and it opened its mouth, and then it backed up. Like, put her in proximity with, this is the least dramatic way. Just like, a dragon. Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
I think they could have done something a little bit more with her if she's going to play a pivotal role, and if we're about to get her as a dragon rider. What did you think?
Well, as many times as they showed her storyline and kind of left her in sort of this like limbo place emotionally, I thought it would have been nice if they had done exactly what the book had done with Nettles, which was have her this, we all know that there's a dragon out there, and she says, okay, she gets this really cool idea. Would have made her seem smart to get a sheep and feed it to the dragon to gain its trust. That's what Nettle does in the book. And so there's a series of building to this moment, right? We were like, you see her, working her way to get to this moment. And I don't know why they removed that from the story, because that was excellently excused in the book. It was like, oh yeah, I could see how a dragon in the wild could suddenly find a young girl out of from nowhere and just like want to attach to her. Her just coming up on the dragon, she knows the dragon's out there, she's coming up on the dragon, and it's now, this is going to be her dragon. It just doesn't feel as much of an accomplishment for her.
Right.
And it took away the cleverness of the girl. And
wow.
Yeah. And this is how you have us root for a character.
Totally. And one thing that I was very proud of for House of the Dragon, and because it came out at the same time, the season one as it was, as Rings of Power, right? They both came out of the gates. They were both, it was almost like a science experiment because they have the same genre, same everything.
Yeah.
Diversity was a big topic.
Yes.
And Rings of Power botched it at every level, at every step. And then here's House of the Dragon handling their business. It had a diverse cast. They all contributed. Here's an opportunity to take a character in the book who we've developed. We have an actress for her. We have a cool storyline.
Yeah.
I feel like in a show that went soft in its finale.
Yeah.
Here's a character we could have spent some time with. And you just told me the backstory. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. It's so interesting. It shows the girl is smart. One of the things that they took away from the idea of Nettles was that she would have been problematic for the show. And I understand why. We're talking about somebody who was also very young and possibly a love interest for Daemon. Now, in the stories in the books, he treats her like a daughter, and also there may be some lover stuff going on. But this being his actual daughter, it makes sense then that they would have a closeness, and remove all that other like weird stuff. So I like that moderation. In the books, Rhaena really doesn't serve much of a purpose. She kind of just fizzles out into the story. She doesn't really. She's a character that really doesn't do much. So they really pumped her up a little bit more. I just wish they had done that with her involvement with the dragon to make us feel like the dragon is starting to trust her. She's using her wits.
It's archetypal. The beast is ally theme is one that will resonate when you show a woman or a female character walking up cool-headed to a monster like this, like a giant dragon, and earning that trust and building some relationship. That is classic heroine behavior. The audience will respond to it. We won't forget it. And it will, and especially with the animation up to the task for the dragon itself, the beast, they could have really given us something there that we would have liked.
Yes. Rhea says, who found the dragon? Rhaena, the daughter of Daemon. And that storyline really fell apart a little bit at the end, because I know she watches her brothers go off to be taken to sea. I never really understood why they left that lady's castle. So there was it was just a little shoving around, a lack of explanation that was going on. Just things were happening, but you just didn't know, like, oh, why is that happening? So I felt like in the story, they could have been a little bit more. It was definitely feels like things were being rushed, and like, let's hurry up and tell this story. Like somebody say, "Oh, is that blah 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 in the distance, whatever," and then you're getting the idea. Oh, okay, that's happening right now, and that's I think we needed a little bit of that. But this is something I really enjoyed. The meeting of Rhaenyra going to Harrenhal and talking to Daemon face to face, which technically on a reasonability scale should have been done in like episode 3 or something. I don't know. Totally. But and this is not in the book. This is not in the book. This is off the book. This is so this was actually really good. I was like, oh, great that they added this from, and it kind of makes up for all the extras that they added too. So it made this a little bit better.
This was my favorite scene in the finale.
Me too. Oh,
right on.
Yes. Yeah, I was like, yes, Damon's back.
Yes. Well, and so he's been kind of underused, I would say, the second half of season 2. And most people agreed with the complaint that he's just kind of milling about Harrenhal. Too many dream sequences. It got a little too ambiguous and too abstract. And, he was at his best when he was acting on his cunning, when he was doing something and was a player on the board. And then suddenly here in season 2, he gets bogged down in this like dream world. At first it was cool, but let's move on. You can only do so much dream sequencing.
I know.
As a writer, that's kind of a thing. You can't keep going back to that well, and they did. And they did it with one of the most iconic characters in the show. When he's on screen, he seems to chew up the scenery. And so finally, he has that vision, and the whole season has been trending toward him really opening up a third tier in this civil war.
Yeah.
And he's going to not take a side. He's going to take his own side. And then suddenly this guy who's menacing, who's cunning and conniving, bends the knee to Rhaenyra, and he does so convincingly. And it was the one time while I was watching the show that I was like, oh, whoa, I didn't expect that.
Yeah. Oh, I was so happy. It was really great. And it's almost like seeing, two heroes coming back together, because we liked those two together. We liked this is something that I took from still from the scene, and I just love this connection. They touch foreheads for a few moments. There is a connection between him and Rhaenyra that cannot be broken. They just are attached to each other in this story somehow, and he really, really likes that girl. He really does. He really adores her.
I agree. And I felt like it was one of those team up moments.
Yeah.
And one that I wanted. Or let me put it this way. I didn't know I wanted it back.
Yes.
I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought that he had gone off on this other path, and that he was going to create his third faction. And once he bent the knee and he was like, I am totally loyal to you, and all of my men are loyal to you. I was like, I didn't realize I wanted this. This is great.
Yeah. Oh, me too. I was like, yes, I want this. Yes. And they were, it kind of goes back to when they were married in season 1, where they touched foreheads. And I love that. That really touched me in such a wonderful way. I'm like, wow, this is just, this is filling me up in a way that I never thought I wanted these two to really, stick it out together. And you think about it, she is so powerful with him at her side.
Totally. They make a great team. They're tough together.
Yeah. And if you think of him by himself, not as powerful. And you think of her by herself, not as together. Apes together strong. This is like the Targaryens together strong. They are a power couple, and so I love these guys together. I was so glad that they were together. And there's supposedly, and I hope there is a scene that they pay this off in season 3. With the two of them together, and that should be extremely powerful. I hope they will bring my vision to life that I've seen. And
you see it in your head?
I see it in my head, and I'm like, I need that moment. And so, yes, that's why I'm also excited for season 3. These two are together, and they're, let's kick all of the other people out of the way. These two are the main. Well, I wanted to talk about the seeds, and that is a storyline that I'm half loving. I'm loving, but I feel like, there could have been more meat on these bones. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Now, as far as Hugh Hammer, his storyline is excellent.
I like him.
Oh, it's excellent. If there's somebody I'm rooting for, and I won't say the full. I know where it ends up, but he right now is just one of those guys. Hero right there. Slap it right on his chest. He's like working class. He's doing this for his family. Like, he's an easy guy to like. He also seems to know how to handle himself. In the social mobility situation he's in, where he's a working class guy. Now you're in the palace, and he knows to behave there. Ulf does not get the message here.
I'm also kind of pulling for Adam of Hull. I like him as well. Those two are two excellent dragon seeds. Ulf is probably my least. I don't like him. I'm not even saying I like him the least. I don't like him at all, the way he was handled in this finale.
Yes, there was a scene of him at the bar where he's, people are like, oh, you should go, you should do this. And he's like, oh, no, I'm just me. Don't, no. And he's got such a sweet disposition. I was like, oh, he's so cute. And he's got a jovial feel to him. But they're trying, and I think with a hammer instead of a writer's pen, to tell the story of his dislike for the royal family or animosity for the royals, because they have treated him awfully. And they've treated him, Hugh also awfully as well. But with him, he cannot hide his disdain at this point. And it's like, can we work our way to this? At least show some fear for your future queen. At least show some decorum for the prince. At a dinner table as nicely set as this, can you at least conduct yourself with some grace? So
100%. This was an example, in my opinion, of bad writing. A rare example of bad writing. So when you're writing a scene, you are like, okay, the conflict in this scene is going to be Ulf and his attitude toward the royals, let's say.
Yeah, that's
or
obvious.
Ulf, being not conducive to the group here. That he's getting, that's level one thinking. This is going to generally be the conflict. And that seems like where as far as they got, they didn't put any other imagination into it. His rebelliousness did not come across the way I think they wanted, because it's usually fun to watch a character buck the stuffiness of the royals, right? I'm a working class guy, and you people are all up your own, whatever. I'm not gonna go with this social etiquette.
Yeah,
they blew it though, because he really came across as a buffoon, speaking so out of place and so disrespectfully that only a fool, not a rebel, not someone who's non-conforming, not that kind of, outcast. He's just an idiot the way he's handling himself.
Yeah. And I thought it would have been nice for them to have him behave respectfully with maybe a few spitey, silvery tongued moments.
That would have been better.
A few. But then aside with Hammer, for them to share stories, and then, these, we're going to win this war for them, but, those son of a guns, they never really cared about us. Like, just talking amongst themselves to show us, the audience, not the entire story, like, just to show the audience that, oh, there's something going on here, some animosity, some anger, some upset, some, he may not be loyal 100%. Right now, it's just obvious that he's going to turn. Like, they have not treated this with care. And that's where I'm like, wait a minute, with all of this sophisticated writing that you guys are doing with all of these other characters, like, why are you flubbing it now? Yeah. And again, maybe it's a time issue. They're like, we need things to go down, and we need a reason for them to go down, and why not this dinner table scene as set the way it is? But still, it's still hitting it with like a boulder instead of like something a little bit more graceful. This was not graceful at all.
Believe it or not, from a writing standpoint, it's so much better to go the other direction. Yeah. Have him be the most courteous.
Ooh, yes, I love that.
Totally. I mean, because we know as an audience, we're like, ooh,
wait a minute.
He is selling this. He is selling it. And he's doing such a good job now. Yes! I worry he's going to get an upper hand on these guys. So like when you go the obvious way, you ruin things. And that's what they did here. And like I said, they ruined it in the worst possible way. Also, world building. You know, she's bringing in people from the lower classes into the castle here.
Yes.
There was no decorum, no ceremony for all of this.
Yes.
There's nice food on the table, but there should be some sort of pomp and circumstance to this. Some sort of way of boxing in the etiquette. Yes. There should be people serving the food, because this is also her sales pitch. Like, hey, all of this could be yours. You're going to be one of us now.
Okay. So yes.
All of that is communication. You know, I am the rich person. This is how we live. This is some good stuff. And guess what? Your families are going to get some of this.
Yeah.
Are you interested? I mean, it's her sales pitch to them, and then it's them responding to her. And if this guy played his, and by the way, in earlier episodes, they actually portrayed Ulf as rather cunning. So
yeah. I loved him until this moment. Until this moment, I was like, oh man, what are they doing?
So this is a writing flaw. This is where they messed up in the writer's room. Mm-hmm. Somebody, it could have been a rush thing. It could have been part of this season finale problem that they had. Yeah. But they clearly rushed the script. They didn't think through at all the scene. So as a writer too, I care about functionality. And I can't really tell. The way the scene is set up, it's like she invited a bunch of bar hands into the path. Like, hey, come on in, guys, eat up. That is not how you act in the upper classes. So they didn't have the care and thought in the world building, in the room. You notice you can't even see the background. So like we don't really get a good sense of where they are. Where are there security around here?
Maybe more lights, some music, some jovialness.
Yes.
Like,
where are her advisors?
Yeah.
You know, do these, like a scene which showed a servant pouring them wine instead of, because reaching for food and pulling it off and eating it, that's what we do in the lower classes anyway, right?
Yeah,
have them serve you, have them pour your glass. You know, if you finish a glass, they take it away and they bring you a new one. You're like, oh, a second glass? Like we do. Show us something about the difference in how they live. I had mentioned in an earlier discussion, one of the major rubs between, if you really want to show conflict between the upper and lower classes, there are real practical degrees of separation.
Yes.
Let's say she says something like, hey, if you're out there and we get trouble, we'll send a raven to you. We'll have to send it. And he's like, well, I can't read. Well, that's going to be a problem. They're illiterate. So show us the practical divide between how the wealthy and the poor are going to work together. There are real barriers there, and they chose to ignore all of that and go with, "Hey, you bunch of idiot loser rulers, how you doing today?" And that's not very good.
Yeah, and
sorry, that was my rant.
Well, look, everything you're saying, I'm in full agreement with, and then some. I'm just going to go into a tangent for a second about the process of getting the seeds, because I think there was a lot of meat on the bones. But by the way, everything you just said, that is so much meat on the bones that's like, it's still there, and it's like, no, that what an opportunity, because just your idea of having Ulf be like overcompensating, kissery, or over.
That is a new word in my vocabulary. I'm taking that. Over kissery. I'm using that.
Yes, like just like really pouring it on thick would just be so. You're like, oh, that guy. You're like, oh, that one. You gotta look at that one right there. He's planning something, and then
it's automatically unsettling. Yeah.
And then behind their backs, like those guys, they've treated us so badly, like talk smack about the queen and everything behind the closed doors, not in front of them. But one thing I was going to say about this, finding the seedlings. Now, when they went out to actually, they sent a note out to get all of the people who wanted to be seeds. I thought it would have been really interesting if some of the guards found out about this and started stopping some of the seedlings from getting out. Like some of them died on the way. Like that it actually be an obstacle course for them to finally get to the castle. To actually get to Rhaenyra, and actually then have to face these monsters, and some of them not survive that. And
yes,
instead of like an obstacle course the whole way. I thought they were going to make, because it was such a big deal in the books. It was like sort of like tragic, like a small tragic moment in the story, and I thought it could have been expanded and really acted out really immensely. Like we should have had some, and maybe that has to do with the budget. Okay, maybe they don't have budgets to like
But you know what?
hire, but it makes it like, hey, these guys really want to be dragon riders.
But you're right. They didn't really establish how they didn't get there. And I don't think it would have been a lot in the budget because you're setting up almost like an obstacle course. Like you said, you can actually have really cheap, low budget scenes with some sort of contest in it of any kind.
Yeah.
2, they're not really reconciling whether these guys can even do the job. They put all the emphasis on, will the dragon pick you? You might have blood, winner. Where the guy's like, hey, I'm afraid of heights. Well, how good is this guy going to be, whether the dragon picked him or not? Can they do the job? Competency. This is a war fighting position. You're going to have to they're like, the way the show set it up, they're like, in 2 days, you'll be a dragon rider. I'm like, well, then it must not be that hard because I don't know anything that I can master in 2 days. And this is dragon warfare? This should take them their lifetimes, So I don't know. I feel like I agree with you. They didn't use the material that they had. And I personally love the plot line of the bastards, the March of the Bastards. They come in, they're going to save the kingdom because they were all illegitimate, but they've got that magic blood. Good.
And there was so many of them. And there was so many of them. And that means that how many of these kids that people have been treated horribly.
Totally.
All this time. And
but it also plays so powerfully on theme because we've already dealt with the idea of legitimacy. You have the legitimate queen with the illegitimate kids and the illegitimate queen with the legitimate kids. And guess what? One of the illegitimate kids is the one who has a problem with their legitimacy. Right?
Yeah.
So Jace is like, they're not legitimate, blah, 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 blah. What does it mean to be a Targaryen? Well, you ain't one either, buddy. So what does it mean to be legitimate? You're just as much of a bastard as these unsavory, these uncouth guys at the table. So you've got a theme there as a writer that's like served on a silver platter. And I just don't think they knew it or knew what to do with it.
Yeah. And oh God, this is why season 3 is going to be so good. It's going to be so good. And I can't wait. I can't even tell you my psychological thoughts on this yet because I don't.
I know because it's a spoiler, right? You don't want to spoil it.
It's a spoiler, and I don't want anybody to. But anyway, Darth says that Jace's concern is that his legitimacy to concession and not being a bastard, and as the heir is based on his status as a dragon rider. The elevation of these Targaryen bastards and riders undermines Jace. Yes, absolutely.
100%.
And I love that because now that is establishing clearly a rift between not only the dragon riders but also Jace and the dragon riders. Like even though in the story that's written, they don't say any of that. There's none of this. None of this is happening in the story. But for the purpose of this show, and I love this, is that they're setting up a definite distinction and rivalry, even like hatred between the two of them. And that is actually pretty good as far as like the events that are going to happen in season 3.
So you're saying that actually does set some good stuff up.
It sets up something really interesting because the way characters the way things go down, I think it was written for for drama, but the way it was written in this story was that now that dramatic moment, those dramatic moments will make sense more. So that that's adding more. So there's just some things that they're adding more to. That's like, yes, you're just actually going to make that feel better when certain things happen. I want to tell you what it is, but I can't because if you haven't read the story, it's going to ruin the surprise for you. And when it happens, you'll be like, oh,
So I have a question for you then.
Yes.
Forgetting all the criticism, accepting the rather disappointing season finale, all the bad stuff setting all of that aside.
Yes.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how well set up is season 3?
It's set up really well, because as soon as season the first episode, we should get 2 simultaneous battles, if not 3 at the same time. But
3 battles.
But I believe there's 2 in particular that are set up, and some really bad stuff goes down. And
okay.
Yeah. So
we're right on the doorstep to total warfare.
We're on the doorsteps of war, battle, blood, dragons dying, people dying, like main characters dying.
Wow.
I'm hoping that they end the season tragically. With because I don't want them to hold off on it for like the next. I want them to continue this, like this era is going to be like awesome if they can just make some headway on the story. Now the whole thing with I don't even have a picture reference for it, the Admiral Lohar, which I loved Admiral Lohar, and I forgot his name already. But the
Tywin
Lannister, yeah, not so happy about those scenes in the placement of where they are. I think if
Agreed.
It was in episode 1 or 2, and we knew this was something that they were working on, fine. But for the last episode, I don't want any of this garbage. Okay, I mean, this is just too much. It's like, okay, yeah, this is funny and cute, but we're talking about all out war and dragons, and I don't want to see this. And right now, I want to know what Helena's doing. I want to know what Aemond's doing. I want to know what Rhaenyra is doing. I want to know where the main character's doing, because now we're serious now.
Totally.
And so the time for fun and games was like maybe 4 episodes back.
Yeah, you shouldn't be introducing new characters in a season finale anyway. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
And I did like her. I did like her character.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah, and it's funny because I actually thought Tywin Lannister was not well done. Mm-hmm. He did not seem like a diplomat, like a trained diplomat. He looked like a guy who was hot and didn't want to be there and was willing to give them whatever they asked for. He just wasn't. And then she goes, she's like, I won't sail with any man who cannot best me. I was like, ooh, that's a good line. Yeah. And then I was like, Tywin, buddy, you ain't up for this. She's going to eat you alive, bro.
Yeah.
He just did not look like the kind of guy that was going to win her respect. And I thought that he kind of got lucky. She's like pummeling him, and he like backhands her like a lucky strike. And she's like, you know what? You're in. And I was like, really? I was like, that earned your respect? That I thought you kind of wanted a more like alpha move, man. That didn't seem like enough.
I did want something a little bit more juicier if you're gonna set that up. But and I thought it would have been like, if we're talking about like she's the best fencer ever, right? Or if she's like the best wrestler ever, and that maybe but this kind of slugfest out in the mud is just like, I don't know, it just didn't seem too exciting. I don't mind the scene itself. I guess maybe my biggest problem is the placement of it, not really something I wanted to see right then. But this whole little culture and the world of the triarchy, very fascinating.
Yes, I actually thought that the set and the costumes were tip top.
Yeah, episode 2.
It
Episode 2
looks
for this.
fantastic.
Yeah, this should have been episode 2, or episode 3. And there was something in the book they had mentioned the kingdom of the three daughters, which I was like, and I guess that's what they meant by the triarchy, because I was trying to figure, okay, well, where's the kingdom of the three daughters, and it has to do with some old Valyrian legend, but it ended up being the triarchy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see what people are saying, because it's some
We're
really
saying
good
a
stuff.
lot.
Yes. Darth Vader says a woman admiral from an Eastern culture, not likely. A pirate queen, sure, that's happened before, but that's different from a fleet action. Interesting. And also says,
Yeah, fleet action is a military operation. There's a lot of communication and coordination. This is much more like mercenaries.
I sail with no man unless he beats me in a fight, and the line goes around the corner. And Darth Vader also says triarchy was a composite of the Barbary pirates and the Ottoman.
Oh, that makes sense.
Sweet. Darth Vader says the three daughters are the colonies of Valyria, similar to the let's see if I can say this name, Tripolitania of North Africa, Tunis, Tripoli, Algiers, the offshoots of the Ottoman Turks. Wow. You're so incredibly knowledgeable about this.
Well, and Darth Plato showed us a map. And those three islands are like the most strategically placed in all of this world. So the fact that they would even ask for it is like, hey, why don't you throw in the Panama Canal while you're at it? It's like, it's a big ask. And he's like, maybe. I'm like, really? That strategic of a location?
Yeah. It's pretty wild. Maria Kelly says, anyone else think that Mysaria will still be Rhaenyra's Master of Whispers in the season 3? Alys, ancient alien theorist, says yes, and I think so, but I think she may fade away, because in the actual story she just doesn't. They mention her once and then they don't mention her again.
Yeah, but now that they've kissed, I think the showrunners have to consider what jettisoning that theme would do. So I think they're going to keep her, and I think they're going to double down. I think they're going to, because like I said, in the finale, there was no evidence of romantic interest, but it's probably because they shot those scenes first.
Yes, I heard
before they shot the romantic scene.
Yeah.
So the actresses weren't playing the same characters essentially. So, but I think now that they have 2 years to stir the witch's brew, I think they're going to create a stronger LGBT.
Oh no, I had a horrible thought. I had a horrible thought that they were going to probably like have them all three of them together as like a weird
polyamorous.
yeah. Oh no. Just please, I look, just tell me the story that just make it good. I don't care if it is. Just give me a good one, because in ancient times of Valyrian history, there was like a one king that married 2 of his sisters, and they were crazy, but they were like they were conquerors, and I believe that was the first Aegon the Conqueror.
Different times, Retro.
Different times where they were they did some wild things, and oh yes, this scene here. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Let's talk about this scene, and we could talk about that scene too.
So I have such opposing thoughts on it, because okay, so, and I'll keep mine brief. Actually, why don't you start, Retro? Why don't you tell us what you think here? I want to know what you think.
Well, first of all, I think I have two distinct feelings about this, which is it sort of wrecks me a little. One is I actually understand why this scene exists.
You do?
Yes. Because it makes sense for what happens later on. That the book doesn't explain necessarily. And it seems unlikely based on how we have been going about things. I mean, people have been dying, fatalities. This is a very dangerous situation for everybody and anybody with royal blood. So they changed a lot of things that were in the book.
Accommodate this scene?
To accommodate what's to happen. So that's why.
Okay.
So I think that's why this scene is here. So that's why I think it is. I still hated it. Okay, I hated it. Loved it. I love the acting. I love the words. These these actors are fantastic together. Any chance to get Alicent and Rhaenyra together on screen together, it's wonderful. They're really great. But this scene was not necessary, in my opinion, because we already had a scene just like it. Just the tables were turned, right?
But I would have not done the sept scene. I would have only done this scene, meaning this is the first time, because
bingo.
Yes, because so first off, there's a lot of problems. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes an author is dialed in, and so when an outside group comes in, like, oh, let's just have them meet, they don't know what else they're disrupting. And the problem with this scene is half excellent, half terrible. Yeah. Because there's certain functional problems here. One, why doesn't this happen in history? Why don't we get more of this in history? Because she never should have let her leave. You know why? Because if you understand power dynamics.
Why? This is what I was saying. I literally said the same thing.
Yes.
Thank you for showing up. You're now my prisoner.
Totally. But it's not just like you're playing a game and you're like, I'm going to get her. When you go to war like this, when this situation gets to this point, okay, there are people who have pledged themselves, their lives, the wealth of their homes, their armies, all of that. They're all at risk because they took up her banner. Same thing with everyone who took up Rhaenyra's banner. So when you show up at my house, all the people who risk their lives to take my side in this battle, I can't let them down. Yeah. Because we were childhood friends. That's good. Sorry. You know what I would do? I would be like, you make a very compelling case for peace. Yes. I'm going to keep you as a guest in my castle where you and I will discuss this in the coming months. Yes. And hopefully we can come to a resolution. I wouldn't call her a hostage. I would just make her one anyway. Yes. And then she's not going to leave. She's not going to leave there. And you know what? That's the way that should go. That's the way that should go down. Yeah. Because I'm sorry, but when people's lives are at stake on your behalf, you don't forget about all them because these two were, cutesy friends when they were kids. That ship has sailed. I'm sorry. It has. Two, if Alicent comes across as a little bit more broken in this version, she's a little bit more like, they don't even need me in the council anymore. I don't have any more power. I'm on your side, kind of. I'm conceding. Yeah. And it's like, dude, if you were going to concede, you should have done it last year before all of this got this bad. Exactly. So it really bothered me that she changed her mind to that degree. Third, the end bothered me here because Daemon just bent the knee. So there's one rival out of the way. She shows up and she basically concedes. That's another rival out of the way. And then Aegon flees. So it's like they're clear. All the rivals gave themselves up. So in the season finale, when we should be ratcheting it up, everyone concedes and kind of strengthens her position instead. Now, to your point, Retro, And I believe you. I trust you. Probably all will be forgiven when we see what they have in store for us. But we have to wait 2 years to get there.
I know.
I'm just saying this scene had so many functional problems to it.
Oh, yes.
It shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
They should have met in a place where mutually assured destruction was possible.
Yes.
Famously known in chess as a queen's gambit.
Mhm.
Show us a queen's gambit where they both bring dragons. They can both annihilate each other on some level, or they both bring their best King's Guard with them and they meet somewhere, and then hash it out.
Yes.
You know, because like you said, there is something interesting about seeing these two queens talk.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
but we've already seen it. They already did it earlier.
And let me just mention something about the earlier scene and why I feel it was unnecessary. We talked about it, and we have said that that scene, although wonderful, also it was wonderfully done. It was a mirror to an earlier scene with Rhaenyra and Alicent. It still was bad from a writing perspective because it only was. It was a purpose for us mainly. Now, I will say this: after that meeting, Alicent does take different actions that we didn't, that because of that meeting, she decides that she wants to read the old texts and learn about what's going on. So I will say that, but for that was mostly for us, so we can have the verbal confirmation that there was a mistake made. And that these girls, it wasn't going to be fixed in that moment. There was no way to turn. It was too late, long time ago, when people started dying.
But you could have actually. So you're right. You're actually very right about the fact that the first meeting got into Alicent's head.
Yeah, it did,
made her really mull it up. But I think from a writing standpoint, better to have her learn another way. Have someone sing the Song of Fire and Ice and have her, what did you just say? Yes. What did you just say? And then, and then suddenly she's like, OMG. Dude,
That's
that's what I'm saying. Like, she could have found out, and it could have been very dramatic, especially if it caught her off guard. And then you could save a scene like this for now. Like you said, I agree with you. This is there's something about the scene that was cool.
Yeah.
But not if that first scene already existed and not as they set it up. But it could have happened. We could have gotten away with it.
Yes.
And it would have been real interesting to see Alicent slowly figure out on her own that she completely botched the final words of the dying king.
Yes. Now there is a scene of Alicent going into the woods and becoming one with the earth and all that, and I did not care for that so much. There are many ways to show us that a character is going through something, but we did not need all of that. But okay, fine. She went through something and she's now kind of changing. We also have that might have been a wonderful time to have that meeting. Like, okay, somebody sent a raven, and suddenly Rhaenyra's there with her best man, and they're talking woman to woman, but not at Rhaenyra's place.
Yeah, man, that's a big risk.
It not only is a huge risk, it's also it's strategically just awful. Even if you came there with a troop of people, like, it still was a bad plan. And I think from a writing perspective, they have to understand. People are saying, why is she just leaving? And then the agreement that they make, and this is the part that I said it may actually mean something later on, is the agreement of, like, I want Aegon's head. Okay, I want Aegon's head, and you're gonna have the doors open for me for the city, to the city, and I'm gonna be, take the city. So all of that makes sense later, but it doesn't make sense now when you're like, okay, why are you ready to give up your son?
Yeah. it makes her look very weak to offer that as a bargaining chip.
Yeah. Just to end the war? That's your son. I mean, I know a lot of bad mothers out there. I don't think they would just say, I mean, Dad,
well, and also
your son is still alive. You know?
Well, and Daemon, who is on the side of Rhaenyra, already snuck in with the blood and cheese situation. So, like, I would be like, dude, no, like that's not it. It's not even Steven.
Yeah.
I always think of that line in The Bride where she's like, even Steven, I'd have to kill all of these people, then we'd be square.
Yes.
So yeah, the intent is there, the dramatic meaning of the moment is there, but and by the way, the positives I was going to say.
Yeah.
So if the producer comes to me and says something like, Doug, we know it doesn't make sense. Just write a scene with Rhaenyra and Alicent. Just make it happen, right? Let's say that was tasked to me.
Okay.
And I wrote this.
Yeah.
The dialogue was actually very good, and the acting was epic. I thought both actresses, for a scene that made little sense, I still found myself getting sucked into the scene because Rhaenyra looked very queenly. Mm-hmm. She just kind of stood there and she didn't move a lot. She was very stoic, and Alicent seemed to be pleading on the verge of desperation, and yet still maintained some dignity as like woman to woman, friend, old friends, mother to mother. How do we stop the dying? How, like, I'm putting myself in this vulnerable position in order, to show you how seriously I don't want everyone to die.
Yeah.
Which Rhaenyra has to take seriously on some level because it's a peace offering, really.
Yeah.
It's a concession. So in some ways, as much as I was mentally bothered by the scene, strategically, I really appreciated the dialogue and the acting that went on in this scene.
Yes, I mean, it's complicated. I liked it and I hated it at the same time.
Yeah,
and it does complicate things, but like I said, later on, it might have cleared some things up that the book did not address. And Darth Vader says, have we forgotten that Alicent attacked Rhaenyra with a knife in season 1? Yes, she did. And it's just like these guys, they used to be best friends and then they became enemies. And how do you navigate that? Like they keep trying to come back together somehow. I'm sure we're going to see more scenes with them together with this kind of dialogue thing going on. But
well, I was trying to think of an example of a movie that did something similar, and oddly, I came up with the movie Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. What's that?
I have not seen Heat.
Oh, okay. Then I won't go into great detail, but there is a scene where they meet each other at like a diner, and it's a bizarre scene. They're trying to kill each other. They're out to get each other. And they decide to meet and they have this conversation inside this diner. And then they go their separate ways with the understanding that, although this was kind of cool, if you get in my way, I'll destroy you.
Yeah.
But they did that early in the story. And you didn't have armies and wars and castles and fealty and all that comes along with making a claim to the throne that these two have done. So, there's a lot there. And to me, on the writing level, again, it messes with world building. I don't think George R. Martin would have written this scene if he was left to his own devices, because the scene would not exist knowing what he knows about the world.
And what I feel at this point is that the story is really putting its heels in and saying this story is about these two women for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not actually. It's not actually about these two women.
Well, what's weird is they're ruining that theme because of such good writing. Because the conflict, which early on seemed like, oh, what a tragedy. Now they're on two different sides. Now so many events have transpired, which is they have brilliantly gotten me, the viewer, to look at these two and be like, that's irreconcilable.
Yes.
That's actually great writing.
Yeah.
So to your point, don't try to force that back if you've moved past that moment.
Yeah. That they're just two women who, have a complicated relationship, but they really care for each other. No,
Doesn't matter.
They used to care for each other, but we're talking about kids that they've had that have been killed. They have been, part of the problem.
Totally.
On both sides. So, and at this point, Rhaenyra has a lot more that she's lost. She's lost a son, and let's not forget she had a horrible miscarriage because of during the time that her father was dying, and this whole thing was going down where Alicent was taking over, and that created a lot of pain and suffering for her. So she's got 2 kids for sure that she's lost. She's got her confidant Rhaenyra died. They lost a dragon. And let me see, anybody else? Right now, that's our kill list on Rhaenyra's side.
The kill list.
That's a lot, And so we, there's too many losses on her side to ever even want to be in the same room with this lady. Like, I'd be like, if I see you, I'm gonna claw your face out.
Yeah.
Like, there should be so much anger, and that's the only thing that I was kind of felt like it was missing, like the absolute rage that would come about for this.
Totally.
And the most, that we're not really even tapping the surface, but I mean, yeah, this is very complicated. There is a helpful moment, I think, that it will serve later on, but I also feel like, no, we're tired. I'm tired of these two meeting up and doing this. I'm ready for, even though they're excellent together, I want them, are they enemies? Because of all of the crap that Rhaenyra has gone through, that throne is hers,
Right.
And so why are we just talking here? At this point, and I think the audience is clearly like mostly all Rhaenyra, which I think before they were tapping on, like, okay, whose side are you on? Are you for the greens or the blacks? And
A little
it's like,
split.
now it's like, dude, you gotta, most people are on Rhaenyra's team, like saying, okay, look,
100%.
what's, that Alicent deserves what she gets for her hand in fooling around with the order of things. She messed with the way things were supposed to be, and she knows it now.
Right,
which
and that's
we're
the
satisfied
problem
with that.
I would have enjoyed better to hear her say, you know what? It's possible that I misunderstood the king, but that's too late. Now we play to win.
Yeah.
Because that's where she should be.
Yeah.
If I was in her shoes and I bet the farm because I heard what the king said, and I'm, Rhaenyra's up to no good because I heard what the king said, I'm doing the right thing. If I believe that, and I committed myself and everyone behind me to this course of action, and then it came up like, oh my God, the Song of Ice and Fire, or the Song of Ice and Fire. Oh my God, I might have blew it.
Yeah.
There would have to be a moment where I come to terms with the mistake that I made and a renewed effort to winning this war. Yeah. And instead, she's kind of giving herself up. So it makes you not want to cheer for her. If she's not going to cheer for her side, don't ask me to.
Going to let Aegon die, he's not the nicest person in the world, but he's in a very vulnerable state. He needs your love. Poor kid was like, "Mommy," at one of the scenes, it was horrible. And she's walking out of the room, and she hasn't even really been back there to take care of him.
Yeah, there's no mother.
She's been an absentee mother for all of her kids, and now she's like, at least I think most people are like, Alicent deserves exactly what she gets for her part in all of this, and for not really even being a character we like anymore.
Right. Well, and that could work in season 3, but I think she needs to commit to a course of action if we're going to like her character again.
Yes.
And getting back to Aegon, one of my issues with Aegon is we didn't like him, but it's not like Joffrey Baratheon from Game of Thrones, somebody who was genuinely sadistic, genuinely evil. He came across as simply wishing he was an adult, wishing he had the respect that other commanders and kings have had. So he came across really, his big flaw was impetuousness and immaturity.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a much more forgivable set of problems than, let's say, Aegon, who just torched a city.
Oh, yeah.
or I mean, Aemond, who just torched a city.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, yes.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is her willingness to kill this guy is a little bit more difficult to go. The guy was maimed.
Crazy.
Yeah. His story about what happened to him as he was burning alive made every guy cross his legs when they heard it. Oh, my God. I hated it. But it's like, all of that makes me sympathize with this guy. So for her to say, okay, go ahead and kill him. I'm like, dude, he's like laying half dead. He lost his manhood. Like, dude, you're going to let it. So, if it was Joffrey Baratheon or someone who's sadistic and evil, then it's like, okay, even the mother knows this guy's bad news.
Yes.
He didn't quite earn the loveless betrayal of his mother. I don't think he earned it yet.
Absolutely. Like I was kind of shaking my head like, she's just going to turn over her son like this? Now, I like the drama of that moment as far as like me having to ask that question.
Right.
But if that is, if that's going to lead somewhere very interesting, but I'm trying to think story-wise how that can work. This guy is more of a buffoon kind of innocent. I mean, he's burnt and he's like, yes, I want to be the realm's delight. Like, I mean, you feel bad for him, but you also feel like, oh man, if you weren't so, probably I'll use the word that you used before. Was it impetuous?
Impetuous, yeah.
Yeah, if he wasn't, so maybe he wouldn't have stormed out into that battle when he wasn't even ready and just make a huge mistake, fatally make a mistake. And luckily, he did not die. But I'm sure
Plato does bring up a good point. He did do something that was a little on the sadistic side. He hung all the rat catchers to get one guy, which is true. However, that is a power play on some level, and I felt that it was still an inexperienced power play.
Yes.
More so than his base personality. That was my take anyway. But Plato, you're totally right. He did do that. That is a kind of
he did do that. Side. Initially, he was sort of just the buffoon king who kind of wanted to do good things, but he was getting advice to be more stern, and he wanted to have fun. He wanted to go to the brothels, he wanted to drink, he wanted to win wars, and you can't do it all. And so he and he didn't even want to go into war until this whole situation with his son dying. And that was I love the way that was built. Okay, written where he's like connecting with his son and he's loving it. He's like, oh yeah, my son. And then at the same time, he's he gets sort of treated, to this kind of thing. It's just really kind of sad to see what happened with his son and how it affected him. It really affected him in a great deal, changed his personality and made him cold. And you can understand that. But of course, he did go off the deep end where it was just crazy. But I'm sorry I kept you on for so long.
Oh, that's okay. This was a good discussion.
Yes. And were there any other things that you wanted to speak about in particular with the show?
Only that I was very disappointed with the finale.
Yes.
So I am on everybody's side who has complaints about it and is frustrated with the way season 2 ended.
Yeah,
I
me too.
was frustrated with the slower episode. Let me retract. I didn't mind the slower episodes because I believed the finale was going to be big. Now that I know that the finale wasn't anything really, now I'm a little bit more frustrated with the slower episodes. So I think season 2 really, I think the real story at the end of all of this one day will be, this was a repositioning from a gambled show 2 years ago to a cultural success and phenomenon.
Yeah.
So this was the season where I think the repositioning happened. This is where the sacrifices were made. And I believe the decision was made, let's pull off the Band-Aid in season 2 and go for the swing for the fences in season 3.
Yeah.
And if they do, it, from what Retro's told me, it sounds like the story set up for season 3 is going to be spectacular.
Oh,
From what I sense in terms of budget and practical issues, season 3 seems like like all the money's going to be there. Yeah. They can do fewer episodes and they could just, slug it out on screen with dragons.
Yes.
So I have a good feeling about season 3. And my prediction is that all of us who are upset will come back and we will watch that first episode of season 3. It's probably going to blow our hair back, and then we're all going to come back, and we're going to forget about this.
Yes.
And we're all, I think we're going to love season 3. That is my belief.
I think so too. I feel as if, season 2 should start off rather incredibly. I mean, I think I've explained to you guys what I think is, based on my memory of the book, like how it goes down is just insanely good. And I think a lot of the subtle things that may have annoyed us in this season may have a better payoff for us later. And that is me, like, just thinking about the story, like, okay, yeah, there could have been a little bit more in the book, and they actually filled in a spot here. So
interesting.
Yeah, so that's something we'll get to. For those of you not willing to wait 2 years, go ahead and read the book. It's great. It's a lot of fun. I believe there's
stay with us, stick with us, trust us, and we'll all be back in a couple of years.
Yeah, at least we'll be able to say, like, at least the first 2 episodes it should be interesting. The rest, I don't know. I hope these writers don't get discouraged by people feeling a little bit disappointed by some of this, that they should continue. There's still a lot of great stuff. We didn't even touch on Maylies's victorious ending and how wonderful that was, how wonderfully written that scene was, and just that episode in general was just incredible. And there was a lot we didn't touch on, but from what we did touch on, I hope that gives you a better idea. Now, Doug, where can people find you?
You can find me right now on my website, douglasaburton.com. One of the things Retro and I first connected on was the book that came out this year. It's a book on storytelling. So if you're a writer, this book will help you. It will help on some level. It's an alternative to the hero's journey. Retro and I have covered it. I would say pretty extensively. We went deep one night, really digging into it. Retro had a lot of great questions, and we analyzed several different movies and stories. So if you're interested, you'll find a small video there for a little taste. I am also on Twitter and Facebook. You could find me. So if you want to know a little bit more about me, those are some great starting.
Take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
If you like this, please give me a thumbs up. Share the video. Make sure you're subscribed for my next upload or live. And YouTube is so nice that they're going to suggest a video for you to watch. Please give it a watch. And remember to stay retro and stay nerdy. Bye.